Welcome, everyone, to the PTSD Buddies podcast. I'm your host, Jamie McCorder, and this episode we talk to Ismael, who tells an amazing story. Ismael was kidnapped right out of his house, and he was tied up and taken from his house, and he doesn't have much memory of what happens after that. But I won't give too much away. Let's just open with that. He was kidnapped from his house. Trauma? I think so. But he tells an amazing story of his symptoms, how he deals with the trauma of being kidnapped. And anyway, amazing story, all coming up on the PTSD Buddies podcast. Just hang in there. Hey, PTSD Buddies. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the PTSD Buddies podcast. And I'm your host again, Jamie McCorder. And I have a good friend with me tonight, Ismael. Ismael, how is it going?
It's going pretty good. I'm a little bit in the middle of my stuff right now, but I thought actually that's good because, people get to hear not just, me going, oh, I dealt with this, but how I'm still dealing with it. Yeah. So I thought that would be good in a way.
Yeah, would be, buddy. Would be. Um, let me start with this then, Ismael, because I haven't heard your story yet, and I'm really interested in listening to it. How is PTSD? How did it enter your life?
Well, basically, I had a series of attacks done on me and tons of harassment and all this stuff. And I was abducted and held against my will and drugged and all these horrible things. Trigger warning, by the way.
Yeah, trigger warning. Yeah, don't worry about that. We'll put the trigger warnings up. You were abducted. Like, holy fuck. Yeah. I don't even know what to say. Like, I can't even imagine the thought process. Like, I can't even process that.
And this was just like ongoing. I mean, there's just different stages because I was being targeted for quite a number of years, but really lightly. And then there was like 1 year where I was heavily targeted. And actually that went on for years afterwards. But during that 1 year, that was really major stuff happened. So, so basically the weird thing is, after I got abducted and I was held, and I'm a big guy, not easy for people to hold me captive, but they used animal tranquilizers on me.
Holy shit.
They beat me, and I don't know what everything they did because I was unconscious half the time.
Oh my god.
But it was. Now here's the thing. After, because I managed to call 911 when they were off talking about something, and the police came, and I couldn't move because I was so heavily doused with tranquilizer.
Yeah.
The police came and took them away, but I just went unconscious, and they didn't take me to the hospital or anything. So when I woke up the next day, I had complete blank out. I couldn't remember a single thing that happened.
Yeah. Oh my god.
And when the police contacted me like a day or so later, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't remember you even coming to my house.
What?
It was so weird. But when I got to work, they asked me where I'd been, and I'm thinking, why is everyone acting so weird today? They said I'd been out missing for 3 or 4 days. And I didn't believe them, but I checked, and sure enough, they were telling the truth. I had been missing. I had a total blank out. It's like I went from 1 day until 4 days later, and in a matter of seconds or overnight. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So, yeah.
That is crazy, man.
So after that, I had some mild depression, and I sort of had this feeling something is wrong with me, but I couldn't pinpoint it.
Right.
And then I decided to go back to the States, I was working and staying in Hawaii at that time. I'd only been in Hawaii for about 8 months. Before that, I was in Singapore. But I went back to California and I stayed with my mom for a month.
Yeah.
And that's when things started to get weird. I started to have nightmares. And I started to suddenly, like, I would have less than a second of memory of something that happened to me, just a fragment. And then they started to come more often and they were longer. And then until a whole series of events started to unravel and get recalled. And that's when, I couldn't sleep anymore. I was really super depressed. And I was just like living in this state of total fight or flight, like 24/7.
Yeah.
Um, it was really weird. There was some cool stuff about it, but mostly it was really horrible. The horrible stuff is, like I said, I couldn't sleep. I was feeling, I didn't feel anything actually, but I could tell my body was scared because my heart rate was racing, and time would slow down.
Yeah.
Like if something fell, say somebody got knocked over and fell to the floor, it would fall in slow motion, and I could just very casually walk over and pick it up, put it back on the table, things like that. That was cool. And also, I got temporary savant syndrome. That was cool. But everything else about it was really just, I can't even express how horrible it was.
Yeah.
It was just like constant pain, constant fear, constant, is like torture, yeah?
Yeah. Well, you were abducted, man. Like, that is crazy. I can see how you would be on edge. I mean, you were abducted. You were shot with tranquilizers, and and correct me if I heard it wrong, but when you got away, you went to the police, and the police said it never happened. Is that what you said? Like,
No, no, no,
they
that's not. I was basically, they broke into my apartment and waited for me, and
yeah.
then knocked me out with animal tranquilizers, and they beat on me while I was unconscious.
Yeah.
And I don't know what else they did, but they did whatever they did. And at some point, when they were distracted, and I started to regain consciousness, although I was so drugged I couldn't move, I managed to call 911, and then the police came.
Okay.
But it took those people away. But I was like, I couldn't move. Couldn't really talk that well.
Yeah. Well, no, a shot with horse
And
tranquilizers. I mean, holy.
so they just took the guys and left me there. And then I just went unconscious again or fell asleep. I don't know what. But all I know is when I woke up the next day, I had no memory of anything that happened.
Wow. I mean, could that be because it was just so traumatic?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably had something to do with the drugs
Yeah. I
they
mean,
had
that's
given me. But I mean, either of those could easily do that. So it's probably a combination.
yeah. Wow. I can't even imagine, man. Like, oh my gosh. I get the nightmares though. So yeah, you went back to or you went to California with your mom then, and that's when you started seeing the symptoms, eh?
Yeah, and because I mean, before everything started to come out full blown, I just felt like something was not right. So I went to a psychotherapist,
Yep.
and that's when I heard about PTSD, and they were saying, you have 7 of the most common symptoms of PTSD, and I'm like, and this is what I said to her: I've never really had any traumatic experiences because
Yeah. No,
I
not at
didn't remember them yet.
all. Well, you don't remember them, but I'm sure they're in there somewhere, right?
Yeah,
I'm
well, that's what she told me. It's just likely you don't remember them, and I'm thinking, well, I've never had a problem not remembering stuff, especially something like that, I'd remember. That's what I told her.
Yeah.
But I was wrong. I was dead wrong. And when the memory started to come back, I knew she was right and I was wrong.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible, man. Can I ask you this? When you got to your mom's house, who did your mom or any of your friends or anyone in your family notice, a change in you or notice the symptoms, or did you notice first?
I think I noticed first, but my mom did say, "You seem like you might be a little depressed. Are you okay?" Other than that, no one said anything to me about it. But yeah, I think it's actually that helped because when my mom asked me that, I was like, "Well, yeah, I guess I am." Um, and when I was a teenager, my senior year, I got a little bit depressed
Yeah.
because all the things, now I'm about to graduate, I have to face the world, and it really stressed me out. So, but that was pretty light. It was almost nothing. Yeah. So,
Did you keep a lot of
um,
it bottled up?
what?
Did you keep a lot of it bottled up, stress and everything?
Uh,
Because
no, because
you were
I was
saying
so
going to school.
disconnected.
It must have been hard going to school and keeping things, keeping it
Oh,
together.
back then, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was. I just shut myself in my room for 2 weeks at one point. But my mom came in and said, "Get out of the house. Go for a walk. I don't care what you do. Just get out of the house for one day." And that actually saved me because I got out. I walked around in the Berkeley Hills, and by the time I was done, I actually felt a little better. And I did that for like 2 weeks, every day, going out walking in the hills. And then I discovered roller skating and rollerblading, and that became my new passion.
Yeah.
So that really helped. It took me totally out of that space and into a really good space.
Got your mind active, hey, so you wouldn't be thinking about negativity.
Yeah, well, and I also made some resolutions for myself. I figured out that I still had time to make some choices. That if I made a mistake, my world wouldn't end and all that stuff. So yeah, I figured some things out too. That helped.
Yeah. Well, buddy, I mean, most people, their home is their safe space. And I guess you didn't even have that anymore,
No,
right?
no.
So, did you have a safe space at all? Was there anywhere that you felt safe?
No, in fact, I still don't ever feel safe.
No?
No, there's not one second that ever happens to me in the last 10 years I felt safe.
Yeah.
So,
How long have you been dealing with the PTSD now? How long has it been?
it's been approximately, I don't know, it's been at least 10 years, maybe 11, or
Wow.
at most 12.
Yeah. Long time.
Yeah.
Do you remember what it was like before PTSD? Like,
Yeah, I
can you
do.
see the difference in
I
yourselves?
do. I see a huge difference.
Yeah.
And truthfully, and I don't know if it was worth it, because I don't think it was worth it, but I like myself better now than I did before.
Really? Hey.
Because, yeah, because
You're not the
I've
first.
worked.
You're not the first person I've heard say that. Yeah. Sorry, but please continue.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've worked so hard,
Yeah.
to get my life back, and I've succeeded, and I'm still suffering, but I mean, I feel so much more good about myself now than I did before. So,
Well, you're a
yeah.
survivor, man. Look what you've been through, and you're still here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're not only
Yeah,
here, but you're doing podcasts and things trying to help others with their PTSD. So you've come a long way.
yeah, just a bit, not a lot, but yeah,
Yeah, you should be proud of yourself.
I am. I am
Good.
proud of myself.
Good, buddy.
I'm so proud of myself. Not just the podcast stuff is yeah. I mean, I'm proud of that too, but I'm proud that I survived, that I'm strong, that uh, I have a good marriage, that I can function, and that I got a lot of the stuff beat. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good, man. How is your support system? Like your family and everyone, they understand everything. They're good.
I don't think anyone really understands fully, but yeah, I mean, my wife is really supportive. I have a couple of friends that are supportive, and I have a sort of a small community of people who really love my artwork and some of the things I do. So I get support for that.
No way you do artwork, do you? That's cool.
Hmm.
Awesome, man.
Yeah,
I've known a lot of people with PTSD, and they find express themselves through artwork very very cleansing.
yeah, it is. It's great.
Yeah.
Math, art, gardening, and hiking. Those are the things. Those are my therapies. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Gardening, I enjoy that myself. Yeah. What was I going to ask? I had a question, and it slipped my mind. Oh yeah, with PTSD, I know myself. I have anxiety, depression, and all that kind of stuff. Is there other things that you deal with too besides PTSD?
Well, as I mentioned, yeah, not being able to sleep.
The nightmares,
I
right?
really only, yeah, but I don't. I mean, I'm having them right now. I'm having nightmares almost every night.
Yeah.
But I went for a couple of years without any nightmares at all. But they're coming back. Maybe because I sort of took a stab in my courage and decided I wanted to get more done, accomplish more some of the things that I've been putting off.
Yeah.
And as I simplified my life so much so I could manage it well. And so I made a decision to maybe let it be a little less simple and start to work on some bigger things. So I think that sort of triggered a whole nother wave of symptoms. Um, but I mean, that's good. I'm making progress.
That's right.
Um, but yeah, but mostly what it is because my mind, one of the things that happened to me is I got what I'm calling temporary savant syndrome. And I don't know if that's an accepted term or not, but it's not, I made it up because there are people who have a traumatic experience and then they become savant. And so, for not at the very beginning, the first few years, um, I was not having that. But then when I started to try to figure some things out, my mind started working on stuff and my memories started to resurface, not just the trauma stuff, but many other things I'd forgotten in my life.
Really, hey?
And I experienced being able to look at mathematical formulas that I could never have understood in the past, and all of a sudden I could understand them. And I could read people's body language like really, really well.
Yep.
So it's like, uh, yeah, so my mind just became super strong and super active, but it was always going. It's like it would get to the point if I'm like going a couple days straight in that state, I would be so exhausted that I couldn't function. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, but what I did find is when I got to that point, if I went out and I climbed a mountain, because we have mountains here. I'm in Bali. Um, we climb. If I went and climbed one of the volcanoes here, I would be so exhausted by the time I was finished, I would sleep like a baby. So that's how I managed it. Yeah.
Well, your mind is going so much. You're thinking about so many things, and your mind is so active. I mean, that's that's when you crash. When you get back. When you get sorry. When you get home, right? I mean,
Yeah, because
that's why we're so
well,
exhausted.
yeah, because my mind gets exhausted, but it won't stop. Yeah, it will just keep going. No matter how, even though I can't even think or talk anymore because I'm so exhausted. My mind is still trying to figure things out,
Yep.
and then
Processing.
the only way to stop it is to go and become physically exhausted,
Yeah. I mean,
and then
your mind is processing everything still, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a key for me. Become physically exhausted, and the mind will shut down.
Yeah. Well, I mean, your mind is going constantly, right? That's why I've talked to a lot of people where when they have PTSD, their mind is constantly going. So when they go to sleep with their mind constantly going, they're going to have nightmares. And then they find themselves exhausted, but they can't sleep. It's like all they can do is sit on the couch and zone out to the TV.
Yeah. Well, I refuse to zone out to the TV. I do zone out though, and sometimes I just sit at my computer all day working on computer programming or a math problem, and I just feel numb and I can't do anything else. But I try not to do that. If I find myself doing that for too long, I force myself to get up and take a walk, climb a mountain or something.
Exercise is big enough for you, hey?
Really, it's the only thing that will override, the obsession and the numbness. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people with mental illness use exercise. Keeps their mind going too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're
It
probably
really,
like me, man. Your own thoughts are your worst enemy.
well, yes and no.
Okay,
I mean, that's actually a huge topic right there. I would love to talk about that one.
let's talk.
Um, okay, good. So, look, there's one of the things about PTSD and many types of things is can you trust yourself?
Yeah,
Can you trust yourself to behave correctly? Can you trust yourself to understand things and respond correctly? Can you trust yourself even to think clearly enough to just not hurt yourself? I mean, these are questions that sometimes people end up asking themselves, and I was one of those people. I was like, you know, I don't know if our, how do I know these memories are not made up? Um, well, the how I know is that I start to track my memories to see if they were connected. Yeah, and especially for the ones where there was blackout.
yeah,
Um, Anything I could remember, and then try to put them in sequential order. And then I started to identify the difference between uh, just psychosis and things that really happen, and then the difference between because if you have a thought which is like, oh my God, everyone wants to kill me or something like that, and I had those at one point. Um, I started to ask myself, okay, no doubt someone wants to kill me because they tried, yeah, but uh, it seems unlikely that everyone wants to kill me. So I started paying attention to people's behavior and starting to read them as I was able to do that. And, I just kept working on it until I could identify who was a threat and who wasn't. And it's amazing, too, because basically my approach to all this was, when things get so chaotic and I can't understand them, break them down, take them a little bit at a time, whatever I can do, and keep working on them until they start to make sense, and I can throw out whatever um, is not true, or which is just delusion. Yeah.
yeah. I can see how your mind is going a mile a minute doing all that.
No. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So and then the other thing is, I mean, I did a lot. I smoked a lot of pot and stuff in high school. Experimented for a little while with some other things, but by the time I was in my 20s, I'm pretty much uh, had a bad taste in my mouth. And I'm not poo-pooing people who smoke marijuana or anything. It's like, hey, if that helps, more power to you.
yep,
But for me, it's so important to me. I want to be as clean and as clear and as possible so that I can make heads or tails of things, and identify things that are not correct and things that are correct, so I can, filter through those and um, be more on track. Because I didn't think I would survive unless I did that. Really, that's what it comes down to.
yeah. Well, you got to find your own path, bud.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
And you sounds like you're finding what works for you, and that's a good thing.
yeah. So, and just on that note too, is if there's anybody out there who that doesn't want to take meds, but they're dealing with their stuff good, yeah, and they're having success with it, I think that's really great, and they should keep doing it. But if you need meds, take meds definitely. I I got a prescription for some meds, and I never took them, but I kept them in my pocket in case I needed them. Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
yeah. Actually, I did take them once because the lady told me You should take it just so you know what it is. Yeah. So I took once. After that, I didn't take it again. So even if things got really intense, I just kept it. I just I wanted to deal with it on my own terms. I didn't want to be relying on anything. I wanted to know that I could keep me safe.
Yeah.
So,
Right on, buddy. That's cool.
yeah.
And has it all been working?
It's I mean, I've had some failures, but yeah, I mean, I'm I've always been unstoppable. It was during the third year PTSD. I actually thought maybe I finally got to a place where I can be stopped. Yeah, but no, I'm unstoppable. Nothing can stop me.
Yeah. You still facing triggers?
But I still face failure.
Yeah.
Um, I'm heavily triggered at this very moment because I did a podcast earlier today that really triggered me heavily. But I think that's okay because you're seeing me now triggered. Yeah. And I can explain a little bit of that. When I get triggered, depends on the situation. But if it's a threat situation, it's a little bit more tough because I'm ready to defend myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if it's just like not a threat situation and I get triggered, I get really, really calm. Yeah. I disconnect from my emotions a little bit and become super rational.
What do you do when you're triggered? What calms you down or grounds you?
Uh, my beautiful wife helps a lot. Um, she she's just ever supportive and loving. So she'll make me some food or give me a hug. That helps.
Yeah.
And then I like baked goods. I also like to make baked goods. So I do a lot of baking,
So do I, man.
gardening.
That's cool.
If I can't get my mind to shut up, then I do a math problem, like a serious math problem. That usually helps because it takes all my resources to figure some of the bigger ones out.
That's cool. That's a
Things
new
like
one to
that.
me. That's cool. Math problems. I can see how that works though. That's really working your mind.
Yeah,
Yeah. Good eye.
yeah. So
That's a good one, buddy.
it, I said it won't stop. So just give it something to work on, which is not so intense.
Yeah. Yeah. I got to tell that one to my kids. That's a great grounding technique.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then grounding, and I do meditation also.
Nice.
Meditation is kind of tough as the stuff comes up in the middle of meditation, and all I can do to just stay still and not move. But it's good practice anyway.
Yeah, I do meditation myself. I don't do it as much as I should, but every time I've done it, I've always felt better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and but just a little note there on meditation. If you meditate regularly, you will feel better after it generally, but there'll be times when you'll feel a lot worse because when you meditate, and especially if you're ready, some of the stuff that you haven't wanted to deal with will come out. So just a little warning there. But that doesn't mean you should stop. It means that you should make sure you have a safe environment and keep going.
Okay. Good to know, man, because I don't know much about meditation.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
People do it. I mean, people do it anyway. Look, when you're zoning out, what do you think that is? That's actually a natural form of meditation, or that people just fall into. It's something that's built into our psychology, I think.
More PTSD Buddies podcasts after a word from our sponsors. We are sponsored by the Tema Foundation. The Tema Foundation is a great foundation in Canada that helps first responders, military, frontline workers, the whole community deal with mental illness. The Tema Foundation strives to make mental health healthier for our first responders and frontline worker community. They've worked to create a free, I say again, a free online educational series that can help you cope with the daily stress, anxiety, and depression your career may bring you. PPE for Your Mind is a helpful collection of videos, ebooks, audiobooks, and much more. It's meant to help first responders, frontline workers, healthcare professionals, public safety personnel, military, and the important people in our lives. To all those who work to keep us healthy and safe, the Tema Foundation hopes PPE for Your Mind will help build your resilience as you continue to fight for the benefits of us all. Find PPE for Your Mind free along with other educational materials at www.tema.foundation. That's www.tema.foundation. You can make sure to follow PTSD Buddies podcast is proud to be sponsored by Spartan Wellness. Spartan Wellness is a Canadian organization, and I'm proud to say that I'm a member of Spartan Wellness. I use medical cannabis, and one of the things that Spartan Wellness does is help people, Canadians, get medical cannabis if they need it. You don't need to be just a veteran or a member of the RCMP. They'll help anybody get medical cannabis. Now, that's not the only thing they do. As a veteran, they also will help veterans deal with Veterans Affairs. Veterans Affairs can sometimes get a little confusing with different. Now, this is not against Veterans Affairs themselves. They're a great organization, but sometimes veterans can get a little confused with filling out forms and everything, and Spartan Wellness is there to assist with that. They also assist with insurance and rehab platforms. They can help assist you with Veterans Affairs and setting up with your Blue Cross provider. Not only do they help you with your getting your medical cannabis prescription, they'll help you pick out the right licensed producer for you, because Spartan Wellness works with all the medical cannabis producers out there, and they can help you pick the right one for you. They also provide lots of medical cannabis education. So maybe you're not sure if medical cannabis is right for you. They're here to provide all the education you need and answer any questions you have. And they'll even help you get all registered with that licensed producer once you choose it. Okay, so check out Spartan Wellness at spartanwellness.ca. They are a great team. Cheers.
Just to keep it from going off into the weeds. But yeah, I'm a great problem solver. So
Was math and things like that always a thing for you, or is that something you started just with the PTSD?
well, I always enjoyed math, but I wouldn't say. I mean, I never really went past like algebra level 2 until well, I mean, I guess I did a little bit for my job in computer programming,
Oh, okay, yeah.
but that's not really deep levels of math usually. So
Yeah. I gotta ask you this: where PTSD entered your life, when you're when before you were a kid? Or sorry, let me rephrase this. PTSD entered your life about you said almost 10 years ago or more. Ismael, if you could go back and talk to yourself before PTSD, was there anything you would say to yourself?
um, I would, I probably wouldn't listen, but I would just tell myself, get away from that woman. She's gonna try to kill you.
Yeah.
That's the all that stuff I talked about. That all happened because of my ex-wife.
Really?
So
Wow.
yeah,
I still can't imagine. I'm still stuck on sitting in your own home and that happening. I mean, oh my, that's something that you hear about in the movies.
yeah. Well, I think I could make a good movie. I mean, a good movie story.
Yeah.
It would be something Netflix would probably love, but
Yeah. But I'm proud of you, man. You come so far. You come so far. Through all the years of dealing with PTSD, is there any stories that stick out that you'd like to share?
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, so I talked about being kidnapped in my own home. There was other assaults. Yeah, I had people like run up to me, put a gun in my face, and
Oh
fire
my
it.
God.
That happened several times.
Several
Um,
times.
yeah, one of the times it was a cap gun, but the other times were real guns.
Oh my God, man.
I had bullets whiz past my head. None of those bullets ever actually struck me, which is interesting. It makes me wonder if they just trying to scare the crap out of me.
My God, are you living in Afghanistan?
Um, no,
Holy
this
moly.
was actually in Oakland, California.
This is a lot of trauma,
Um,
bro.
yeah, well, um, yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Um, and then what else? I mean, I just had people. Okay, this is the thing that they did for years, and I mean years, for like almost the whole 10 years. I had people following me around, going to the places that I frequent, and telling people wild stories that were not true about me, saying that I was there to rob them, or I was stealing from them, or that I was a pedophile looking for
Holy
children to
gee.
molest, or that I was that I was, what do you call it? The one time they told these people that I had AIDS
Holy
and that I
crap,
was
man.
patient zero. I was
Oh,
patient zero, and I mean just really crazy stuff. Yeah,
that
like
is
stuff so
crazy.
crazy, and I don't know how they convince people. I think most of the time, most people probably just ignored them, but every once in a while they get someone who actually believed them, and then people treat you weird, huh?
Yeah. That's trauma in itself right there.
Yeah, especially when it's ongoing.
Yeah.
Plus, they would. I mean, there's periods where they weren't doing it, but they'd show up, yeah, like clockwork, at least a few times a week. Sometimes it was nonstop.
That's, is this stuff still going on, buddy?
It is still going on, but like especially with COVID, they not so easy for them to do
Yeah.
those things, especially because all the businesses were shut down. Uh, but and I think also air flight restricted and stuff. And I'm in Bali now, so they basically have to either find local people to do it, or they have to come in from Singapore or wherever um, to harass me. So it's been much lighter over the last since um, 2020, the beginning of 2020.
I guess the COVID has made it a bit easier, hasn't
Yeah, in some ways.
it?
Um,
That's what I
just
told my doctor because a lot of times I deal with social anxiety, so going outside can be difficult, and so staying in the house can be pretty simple for me a lot of times,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, in many ways, my life, because I set myself up, so that to make my life simple and manageable. So yeah, it hasn't actually affected me too terribly much.
Yeah, I hear you, and there's a lot of people in the same boat as we are. I'm sure of it.
But I feel bad for all the businesses and stuff, people who lost their jobs and people who lost their businesses. It's really tragic.
Yeah, I almost feel like COVID has helped me with that one symptom of my PTSD, the social anxiety, because being stuck in my house so much now has made me really crave to be around people.
Yeah,
But that's me personally.
yeah, yeah. No, I totally hear you. I mean, I do better when have a little bit of socialization time, at least once a month, if not a couple times a month. I do much better.
Hmm.
So,
Well,
um,
a lot of people don't want to admit it, but it's true. Human beings are pack animals. They need to be around other human beings. And right now, I know it's a
mhm.
lot of times. I think everyone with PTSD says this at some point in their life. I really hate people,
Yeah,
but
people are dangerous.
yeah, especially when you drive. I know when I drive, I get I use I sometimes have road rage, but We're pack animals. You need to be around people because if you're alone with your thoughts constantly, I mean, you're going to be hard on yourself sometimes. You sometimes need that person. Like I know my wife is always there for me. And Ismael, you said earlier, your wife is there for you. A lot of times you need that person to bring you up.
Yeah, it's really, I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed to have her and a few other good people in my life. I'm so picky right now about my friends. It's actually kind of arrogant, probably, but I mean, if they if they don't know how to treat other people good, I don't want to have them as friends. Basically, that's how it goes right now.
Well, shit. I'm sorry for saying, but I can understand why you're a little picky on your friends and who you want as a friend, right? I mean, look
Yeah.
at the trauma you went through because of a relationship.
Hmm.
You have a very good reason to be picky.
Yeah.
And people with
So,
PTSD
and
like to cut out certain things out of their lives. You know, if you, I mean, if someone in your life is being toxic, most people with PTSD will cut that toxic out of their life.
that's a good. I mean, that's a good idea. If you can do it, you should do it because I mean, this is my simple rule. My simple rule is people around you should be good to you, and you should be good to them. If neither of those things can happen, it's better to find other options. That's my simple rule, and I try to follow it. Of course, as soon as you're working with people, you can't always have that choice, but as much as possible, I try to do that.
Yeah. Would you say you almost have gratitude towards PTSD?
Um, no, I wouldn't say that, but I have gratitude towards myself for learning how to live. Uh, yeah, how to live with it. Yeah.
Yeah. The reason
But
why I
I
asked about the gratitude is you were saying how you like the person you are now more than the person you were, right? And I
yeah,
know
yeah,
myself, it's a weird thing to say when you say you have gratitude for your PTSD, and when I say it, it's like I'm not happy about the trauma I went through, but I'm happy about the person I am now because the person I am now understands PTSD so much more than the person who didn't, who I was before. The person now
yeah.
has much more sympathy towards people and has much more gratitude for what I have in life. You know, the PTSD,
You,
I was almost, it's not that I have gratitude for the PTSD, but the PTSD did make me a better person in the long run. It's a
yeah.
weird way to
No,
say it, but
I'm right
yeah.
there with you. Right there with you.
I mean, look at the people I've met. Ismail, look at you. I would never have met you if I never had PTSD.
Yeah.
It's a weird way to look at it, but yeah.
No, and I think people get caught up in stuff, and maybe they just never had the chance, and maybe they weren't uh, designed that way. I don't know what you want to call it, but I think it's it's a natural state that people lose, especially in modern society. To have compassion. Um, I think I mean, I think I've always been pretty compassionate. That I think I was in my late 20s. I was pretty successful in my business, in my work, and I can remember being a bit of an asshole at times. Um, I wouldn't do that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but I remember times when I wasn't a bully. I don't think I ever was a bully, but there were times when I was in high school. I was a dick, for lack of a better way to say it. Right? Sure. I was the guy on the bus going home from school who probably said some shit to the bus driver. Apologies to Buck. Yeah, but anyway, I know what you mean, but like I would never do stuff like that now. I try to look at things through other people's eyes, and I
Yeah.
was never like that before PTSD.
Well, I mean, here's the thing that I figured out is that, uh, you know, part of you is this world. Part of you is the people around you. Part of you is your environment. I mean, it's all part of you. And if you care about yourself and you want to, have a good life and take care of yourself properly and be happy, you have to make a good environment and you have to have good people around you. And
It's
that
true.
means you have to care for the environment. You have to care for those people and you have to care for your life in general and what's in your life, because that is a part of you. And so that's also something I want to share, because that's really helped me a lot, to remember that and remind myself of that.
Yeah. And it's something you have to work at. You have to work
Yeah,
at you have to work at all that,
absolutely.
right?
It's not easy sometimes.
No.
Um,
No, it's not easy, right? I mean, you have a wife, so you got to be a good husband. You have, if you have children, you got to be a good father or mother out there. I mean, and these things are things we have to work at every day.
yes, yes, absolutely. Then the other thing, uh, I'm kind of getting to my list here a bit. Is it's really easy to. I mean, you feel scared sometimes, or at least I do. I feel scared. I feel in pain. I feel sad. Sometimes I don't know why. Um, I feel, you know, I can get depressed, and then um, all the, it's just so dry, and it's just, yeah, not a nice way to feel. But the thing is, I have been happy in my life, yeah, and I'm happy now, but I have been happy in my life, and I remember those times. Okay, so this is what I did. I remember being happy, and I would, because I experienced trauma really intensely, but I tried to experience the happiness I felt at past points in my life the same way I was feeling the trauma, and I practiced that. So I practiced feeling happy, practiced feeling joy, and I practiced feeling enthusiasm, yeah,
Yeah.
and love. And I found that, because when stuff really hit the fan or things got really intense for me, it's really hard to do it during those times, right? But I kept practicing until I could do it anytime, no matter whether I was in the worst space or the best space. Um, and basically, what you do is, you know, you get comfortable, you remember a time, and you play it back through your head, and you try to feel what you felt like back then. And then you try to do it. When you get good at that, you try to do it without recalling the memory, just the sensation,
Yeah.
just the experience of it. And then if you can do that on command, it's such a great tool. It'll save your ass, I tell you.
Yeah. Well, that's
And
good.
I watched this great TEDx video once where the guy was talking about that all the reasons we have to feel good or to feel bad are irrelevant. He was saying just feel the way you want to feel, and I think it's onto something there actually.
Oh, definitely, definitely. That's a good tip for our listeners out there. I mean, remembering a time when you feel good and trying to feel like that again. That's a big thing.
Yeah, and that really works well for me. Yeah.
What are those things that you think of?
Um, well, I mean, I remember a time when I was with some good friends and we were out hiking in the Trinity Alps, up at the Oregon California border, and it was a sunny day. It was beautiful. The air was really clean and fresh, and we were telling jokes and we were laughing, and it was just like, oh, it was such a good time. I felt there was no problems and there was no weight on me, and I was totally free and appreciated, and I had good people around me. That's one time. Also, I had a hit video game once published, and that was like the moment of glory. I was pretty proud of myself. So things
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that, yeah.
yeah, yeah. I still use video games from time to time as a decompress. I'm not much for video games, but I played this one
Yeah.
game with some friends of mine online that are other veterans actually, and it's more about us having a chit chat than it is about the video game because we're all in different parts of Canada. So
Mhm.
it's more about just us having a chit chat than it is about the game. It's a great way to decompress with some buddies for me anyway.
Yeah. 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 You're up in Newfoundland, yeah?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah. Up in the northern part or the southern part?
St. John's.
Yeah. St. John. Okay, because I know I had a family member up there as a doctor up there, and we would get so cold and snow. It would cover his house in snow, and he would be stuck up there, and his pipes would freeze. It's like
Yeah,
he had to live up there for 5 years or something like that.
we don't hit the really cold temperatures like some parts of Canada, but we don't really hit the hot temperatures at all.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
Pretty
Wow.
much all of Canada for the last few weeks have had a heat wave, and
Oh, yeah.
here in Newfoundland, no, we're not in shorts at
Mm.
all. We're still in hoodies, right?
Okay. So he was way up north. Um, I mean, apparently they have doctors who go up there and live for 5 years in the really northern area where there's not many people, because there's no other doctors up there, and those communities need doctors.
Yeah,
It was, I think, much more farther north than where you are.
that's cool. I seen a movie not too long ago about something like that where it's actually filmed in Newfoundland, where there's a village or a town in Newfoundland tried to talk. They tried to get this doctor to come from some part of
Oh
Canada
yeah.
to their island to be their doctor, and they find out the doctor likes rugby, so they start faking a game of rugby to make him come, and it's pretty fun anyway.
I think I saw that actually.
Yeah, I think it was pretty good. Yeah, I gotta say, man, you
So
tell an amazing story. Incredible.
yeah, um, yeah. Um, let's see, and then yeah, okay. I mean, some of the other things is I found is cooking my own food,
Yeah,
and so I do most of the cooking here because I just find anything I can do to give myself comfort or to nurture myself is just exponentially helpful. It really helps my mood and helps me function better. So,
it's an
like, I try to cook
accomplishment.
my own food, and that really helps.
Cooking your own food is an accomplishment. A lot of people don't know how to cook food,
But you can learn.
but you can learn exactly, right? And that's an accomplishment.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's the act of taking care of yourself that I think that makes all the difference because you're making proof to yourself that you are worth being on this planet and worth caring about.
Yeah. And are you making a meal for your wife as well?
Yeah, she cooks maybe once a week or twice a week,
Yeah.
and I cook the rest of the time.
But there's something into that too, is my point. You're placing a plate in front of your wife too. I know myself as a father, I love putting food on the table to my kids.
Yeah, that's totally true. I totally love someone else can appreciate my cooking. It's really it's yeah, feels good.
Yeah, yeah. I have to admit too, if I make something and the kids like it, I get that little extra bit of pride. That's true. Ismail, a few minutes ago, I heard you say something about a list. So I want to make sure we cover that list.
Hmm.
So
Well,
what's next?
I see. Okay, so yeah, I talked about being aware that your environment is part of your life, and your life is part of you. Your world is part of you. People around you are part of you. Everything that is something in your life is really a part of you. So that's important to remember. I think that's really helpful.
Yeah,
Uh, and then yeah, physical exhaustion. It takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of physical energy. May not be practical all the time, but it's the only thing that was reliable in terms of managing getting some sleep and also shutting down my mind. It's the only thing that I could 100% count on to make, if I got to the point where I'm like, I just, you know, I'm going to drive myself insane. Or if I don't get some sleep, I'm going to have a stroke or something. Um, so yeah, I would go do heavy hikes, but I think anything can work, whether it's, cycling or swimming, just do it to the point where you feel exhausted and, um, you'll probably be able to sleep, and probably be able to relax.
yep, that's true.
Um, and I think meditation is really good too. And what I would recommend with meditation is the more regular you can do it, like if you can do it daily, even if it's just for 20 minutes, will have a big impact and make things easier. But don't expect it to be always pleasant. Yeah. And sometimes it just gets too intense. But try to stick with it. Just 20 minutes. And if you think you can't handle it, try to figure out a way to bring yourself down from afterwards if it's getting too intense. But and if it really is too intense and it's just causing problems, then stop. But if you can find a way to manage it and keep on just 20 minutes a day, it will make a huge impact in the long run. People think meditation is a lot of things, but just to put it simply, meditation is where you stop doing anything. You just don't do anything. I mean, you can walk maybe, but normally you just sit there. And zoning out is okay, but of course, if you're going to zone out, you want to come back and center. But you don't have to be in control the whole time. Just the only thing you have to be in control of is just don't do anything, and just stay in that state for 20 minutes. And what happens is it's not sleeping, but your mind starts to process things it hasn't been able to process in the past, and then clear it out. So that's why it's really helpful in that way. Because when you sleep, you're unconscious. When you're meditating, you're conscious, and there's some things you just can't process while you're sleeping.
Yeah, that's true.
So meditation may be a lot more than that, but on the base level, that's what meditation is. And everyone meditates; they just don't think of it as meditation.
Yep, that's true. You can meditate in the shower, take a long shower, have your eyes closed.
Exactly. In
Yeah,
fact, that's a really common one.
it
Or
is.
just sit back on the sofa and zone out. Yeah, yeah, that's a pretty common one. Okay, so then what else? I think I talked about friends. Just ask yourself, are they good for you? They don't have to be like good for you as in doing everything you say, but just generally good for you. And are you good for them? Because one of the things is I didn't want to be a burden to people. I didn't want to make anyone else suffer because of my suffering. So I wanted to make sure that whoever was around me, I had a positive impact on them. So that cut it down to just a handful of people. But that's okay. That's quality over quantity.
Yeah.
Then, I mean, there's a lot of other stuff, but a lot of it has to do with assessing threat. Um, you know, I think for me, basically, is if the threat is immediate and obvious, then you just let it go. You just let yourself do whatever you need to do. But if it's not like a critical situation, take a deep breath and ask yourself, okay, what are the possibilities? If this is nothing and you're just reacting, that's one possibility. If this person's really out to hurt you, that's another possibility. And what if there's a bunch of other ones in between? I just go through all of those. And this may not work for everyone, but if you're like me and you have an overactive mind, you'll be able to do that easily. And then just go through and eliminate the ones that seem improbable, and then just stick to the ones that seem most likely and be ready for all of them. That helps me. That helped me manage basically how I react to the situation.
That's cool, man.
Mhm.
I'm gonna be using some of these.
Yeah. And then if you want to read up on things like risk analysis and risk management, you can apply those in your own life too. And actually, you see, a lot of that is just being able to quantify or qualify risks and threats, and it helps you. It gives you some tools on how to think about things and how to deal with them. So I think that's also really useful. Um, then, I mean, being self-sufficient, anything you can do to help yourself become more self-sufficient, so you actually have control over, what's happening, and what you need to live is also really helpful. Of course, you can't do that 100%, but whatever you can do to make that make yourself more self-sufficient is really helpful too. Um, if you depend on other people, then life can get complicated. So
Definitely.
try to remove those if they don't need to be there. Those dependencies. I mean,
Yeah, that's true. 100%, buddy.
yeah, and well, I think okay. Coming on to the one of the big ones, though, is fear. I live in a state of fight or flight, uh, pretty much 24/7. Not always. I go through periods where I come out of it, but I'm more in it more often than I'm not in it. And as PTSD, one of the things it does is it changes the way your brain and your body and your nervous system and metabolism, all those things, function. So I'm sure many of people have read about this, but uh, I'm one of those people that really changed, and I had to learn not how. I didn't have to learn how to walk again. I could still walk, but I had to learn how to think and how to live. It's like half of me became like an infant having to learn how to survive and how to function in this world. Um, but I realized is that I've been changed. Yeah, my body and my mind is not the same as it was, but that doesn't mean it's broken. Yeah, I mean, I got damaged really badly, but I'm no longer broken. I operate different than most people do, but I'm still basically fundamentally the same. I'm still human. I still have all the same organs. It's just structured a little different, and the wiring is a little different. So learning to live with that and to operate in a state of fear, fight or flight, um, and live in a way that's functional and that works is so important. You don't have to go back to what you were, and you might not be able to. Maybe in time you will, but you can't wait for that. You have to accept that you are changed and then learn how to use that new body and that new mind because in some ways it's more powerful than the old one. In some ways it's more fragile too, but that's what you got to learn how to use it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's going to make sense to a lot of people, but
Oh,
I'm sure it'll make sense
it's
to
going
at
to
least
make
a
sense
few.
to a lot of people who are going through it, buddy, because you're right. I mean, you're wired a certain way, and then you go through the trauma, and you're going to be wired differently now, right? You were a
Mm-hmm.
PC for so many years, and all of a sudden, bang, you're a Mac. So you got to learn. You got to do this learning curve. You got to change a little bit. Change, not change who you are, but change the way you live a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're
And
triggered by things, so a lot of times you spend time trying to keep away from those triggers and live your life that way.
then I think I'm trying to. I had one more thing, but I sort of got lost there, so maybe it'll come back. Um,
Happens to me all the time, man.
yeah. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I think another thing is a commitment to living, a commitment to living good, even if. And I've been there. I'm not there right now, but I've been in a space where I really didn't want to live in a world that was as cruel as this world can be. Yeah, I've been in that space, but I made a commitment to uh, live and be happy and live in this world, even if I was going to die tomorrow or something was going to happen. I was going to live the best I could, and I made a commitment. Uh, and I came up with this phrase: uh, "My dream is to live." Yeah, people, because you see those things. What is your dream? Yeah, my dream is to live.
Yeah.
So a commitment to living, yeah, and because the world is what it is. It has good people, it has bad people, but everyone, even the good people, have potential for great harm, to do great harm under the right circumstances, and a few of them under any circumstances. So I just accept that, and I know that there's people out there who can hurt me or try to hurt me, and it's not that that's okay, but I'm going to live in spite of that, and I'm going to do my best in spite of that. And I don't want to look back and say, I don't want to just like be scared and hide and not live. I don't want to have regrets. I want to live, and I want to be proud of myself. So if something's going to happen, I'm going to face it. Now, this takes a lot of courage. It really does. It takes so much courage.
It
But
does. And work.
what choice do you have? You don't have a choice. You have to face it. There's nothing else you can do. You can lie on the floor like I did, for 3 days, not moving. That's not going to solve any problem. That's not going to make anything happen. It's maybe you needed the rest, and that's fine. But eventually, you're going to end up standing back up. Yeah.
Yep.
So you might as well face stuff, no matter how scary it is. And if it kills you, that's well, at least you won't be suffering anymore. But chances are you'll find a way to beat it. And if you don't, you'll learn how to not be beaten by it, at least. Yeah?
Well, I heard it say before, courage is moving forward despite your fears.
Yeah. So I always pump myself up for courage. And if I'm scared, I say, I'm really scared. Someone asked me, this guy on the street was trying to bully me, right? He's just young and stupid. And he was, you're not afraid of me, are you? He said. I said, yeah, I'm afraid of you. I'm afraid of everyone. I'm afraid 24/7 of every second of every day. I'm always afraid. He didn't know what to say to that.
Yeah. You have reason, though, man. I mean, look what you went through.
Yeah.
How many people know what you went through, Ismael? Is there a lot of people, or have you shared your story with anyone?
I don't think people don't want to know, I
Really?
mean, a few people know bits and pieces. My wife knows quite more than anyone, but she forgets stuff. I tell her it's just too intense, and she's never experienced any trauma in her life. It's just too intense. It'll go in one ear and out the other, and by the next day, she'll have forgotten everything I said to her. So, a lot of people are like that. A lot of people, if you tell them these stories, they'll just be in denial, and they'll even attack you. They'll say, "You're just weird. You're crazy." That doesn't happen. How could that happen to you? If that happened to you, you must have done something to deserve it. It's like, oh, thank you for that. I already
People
went
have
through
said
that
that to
thought
you? Oh my
process and
God.
answered those questions. And I may have done something that enabled that to happen in some small ways, but I did not deserve it, and I certainly didn't cause it.
I'm sorry that happened to you, man. It's hard enough sometimes to share your story with somebody, but to have them throw a comment like that back in your face, that's dreadful.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of people are. I know people can be really stupid at times. Yeah? Just like what the heck, Okay, you're right. Nothing like that ever happens. Everyone loves you. Your neighbors are always looking out for you, and the government just wants you to be happy and safe. And everyone, this is just a beautiful world. Yeah, it's a beautiful world.
Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah. And this is a beautiful world, by the way. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just saying it's ugly as heck as well. It's ugly as heck and it's beautiful and everything in between. It's got the full spectrum.
Yeah, that's one way to say it. I was just thinking
Um,
then how it must have felt, man, for you to like, because like I said, it takes a lot of times to share your story. It takes courage to share your story.
yeah. Well, yeah, because actually, took a little courage. I've every time in the past several years that I've tried to write down my story, I get such intense nightmares. Yeah, and uh, I just basically, I mean, I didn't stop doing it, but I stopped doing it if I knew I had anything coming up I had to deal with or anything important happening in my life, because it would just, if I turned into a basket case, I just wouldn't be able to function after that.
Yep.
But, you know, I've actually made a habit of basically every few months writing down everything I could remember. And I would be shit for about 3 days after that, or maybe a week, but then recover. So I've been working through it, and I'm able to do it pretty well. And like I said, I did a podcast earlier today, and I told my story, and it triggered me really heavily. But like you see how calm I am. That's me being triggered. That's how I get when I'm triggered. I just get totally calm. You know? It's like um, everything goes quiet and my emotions turn off. I'm sort of disconnected from my feelings and time slows down. You know, it's like I'm ready. If there was an assault right now, I would, in 1 second, I would have my machete and a pole and anything else I needed. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting. I've never heard of anyone have it slow down like that.
Well, I mean, it's not that time actually slows down. It's just my metabolism speeds up,
Exactly. No,
and
no, I understand. Yeah, I just
yeah,
I've never heard of anyone experiencing that before. That's amazing.
yeah. Well, I mean, I think because the attacks kept coming, you know, they were repeated attacks. So I had to be ready at any, you know, without notice. I had to be ready for being attacked. And and one of the things that was happening is I'd be walking along the street and someone's, you know, walking along the sidewalk and they're coming towards me and we're going to pass each other. And then they would just sucker punch me really hard in the face.
Gee
And
whiz, man.
um, so I got ready for that. I got to the point where when people did that, I could catch their fist in my hand, get it from hitting my face, and even sometimes I got so I could pull it behind their back and push them away. Um, so yeah, it's I sort of learned some pseudo martial arts because of that type of stuff.
My God, do you ever get a chance to relax? I wouldn't be able to relax like this. This is you're facing trauma all the time.
No, I mean that's a challenge. I have trouble getting enough rest, good rest. I can rest enough good rest and really relaxed. It's not easy for me, but I make sure I do it regularly. And um, you know, like sometimes we go on a 1 day holiday or a 2 day holiday, or I'll just go and do some meditation out in the jungle, or do some like gardening helps with that a lot. Sometimes I just go on a bike ride, motorbike ride up in the mountains in the mountain air. Those things have a tendency to calm me down. So it's like I have to make a point that I get that on a regular basis.
Are you doing all these things alone?
Mostly,
Yeah.
yeah. I've had people following me, not for a couple of years at least, but it's interesting when, say, I get lost and I end up going down a dead end road and then come back and then I catch them.
Yeah.
But as I said, that hasn't happened for a few years, thank God. So yeah, it's getting easier.
Yeah. Well, I've talked to a lot of people who do the same thing you do, man. Being active It's not much just about exercise. It's just about being active. Keeping your mind active, keeping your body active, right?
Hmm.
It'll also help you sleep a little bit, I think, too. Keeping your body active.
Yeah. And, I think I forget because I did the podcast earlier today, and then I told some stories in that, and then I think I'm sort of assuming you guys all know that, but one of the things is I had some people hunting me, organized harassment. So that's why that stuff is happening. People are following me. So,
Gee whiz, man. People following you.
yeah.
People following you. People wanting to punch you in the face, harass you.
Mm. And also go to my workplace and tell stories. Like they would just, I mean, because I don't know all the stuff they said, but some of the things that I found out about is they would discredit my degree, say that I didn't really have a degree or that my degree was fake. Of course, it's not fake, but um, the employer would often they wouldn't check. Sometimes they would check and they find out it was real, but sometimes they would not check and they just assume it was true, and then they'd say, "Oh, we did a check and we found out your degree is fake," and stuff like that, or that I was stealing from the company, things like that. They would go to nearby grocery stores that were robbed and tell the people that I was the one who did it, that I confessed to them. Something like that, yeah.
Wow, that's messed up, man.
Yeah. So they try to get other people to harass me who are just innocent people, um, you know, and that's messed up because they're also messing with those people, yeah?
Yeah, that is messed up, bro. I'm sorry you're going through so much, or gone through so much of this stuff, man. That's incredible, guy. All right, well, let's get back to your
Well,
list.
yeah.
Is there anything else on your list?
Um, there probably is, but I think I'm, I think I'm kind of at my getting to my limit on that stuff. So I
I
could always
understand,
do
man.
another podcast. I think I might do a few of them
Yeah,
just to get everything out that I want to get out. Um, it's kind of weird though because that's out there, going to be out there for everyone to hear and comment on, and people love to comment, and then if my ex-wife sees the stuff, she'll probably try to use it against me, but that's okay. Um, yeah.
well, if you feel that's enough, Ismail, we can always stop there. I mean, you've told or you shared some amazing stories today. Some of the most amazing stories I think I've ever heard. So we can always stop it there, and you're always welcome to come back on the PTSD Buddies podcast anytime to do more episodes if you feel like you have more to share.
Yeah, I think I do, but yeah, well, we'll see how it goes. Probably be at least 3 months from now. I'll give myself a break for a bit of time. But yeah, I got more stuff, but just not right now.
Cool, man. Cool. Well, bro, thanks so much for having a chat with me. Like I said, you tell an amazing story, and if you have more to tell, I want to be here to listen.
Okay. And so thank you very much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. And thank you for being who you are, doing what you're doing. Uh, we need more people like you. You're a hero, man. Yeah.
Oh man,
And
right back at you, man.
there's plenty more.
I've only just talked to you
Thank
for the first time today, and I've learned a lot from you. So I really do appreciate your friendship.
you very much.
All right, bro.
Likewise.
All right, bro. Well, you take care, man. And like I said, you can be on this podcast anytime.
All right. Thank
All
you
right,
so much.
all right, buddy. You take care now. Have a good one.
Over and out.
Thanks everyone for joining us on this episode of the PTSD Buddies podcast. I hope you enjoyed the show. And if you or someone you know is dealing with PTSD, please look for PTSD Buddies on Facebook. You can join one of our great Facebook groups and get support. You can look for us on Twitter, Instagram, or check out our PTSD Buddies YouTube channel full of hundreds of helpful videos to help you deal with PTSD. Cheers, everybody. Have a great one.